Brian, welcome back. Always a pleasure. Excited to get right into it. How's life?
It's good. Can't complain. Not that anybody would listen anyway, so.
I'll listen after we stop hitting record.
That's nice of you.
First, before we get into it, you do have very cool jackets. I do want to acknowledge that. It makes me want to step my jacket game up.
Yeah, but I don't think I can pull off the Hawaiian like you do. So kudos to you. So
Okay, we can pop them and swap them some days, see how we look.
You can sign my jersey and vice versa.
Well, moving on right from that, I want to get into something really straightforward. Whether it's, PI or any other service, there's always kind of the premium vendors, the middle range, and then like the bargain basement. And yours, of course, is no different. So I like to kind of pull the curtain back, as I always say, and kind of ask your opinion on what do these bargain basement providers look like for, simple asset search, locate a person, and then what causes typically attorneys to use these bargain basement services, hit a dead end, and then ultimately call, a firm like PHENIX to take something the final mile?
Yeah. Great question. I think the first step or the challenge is oftentimes, and working with a few thousand law firms on an annual basis, they'll originally contact you because, hey, we just need this one bit of information. And so they go and, hey, this should be super simple. It's there in the computer. No, not super simple. And so always trying to encourage clients to kind of do their own thing and take it as far as they can. But what ultimately happens on some of these things, as you work with attorneys, they realize, holy crap, I didn't realize that information was out there. Or you stumbled upon what in this information. So, an example of that, I have a Fortune 100 client that retained us to just get super simple information on a third-party vendor that they believe was circumventing OE parts on ultrasound machines, which is kind of a big deal because if you put a Chinese, third-party part in this thing and it's telling your heart's 2 millimeters thick versus 1 millimeter or whatever that might be, could be a disaster, right? And but they just wanted to determine who this vendor was. So as we did a little bit of investigation to figure out who this vendor was and digging further and finding out they had these other businesses, and then encouraging the client, hey, we need to dig a little deeper. Ultimately, something that was very simple got into a huge trademark infringement type of situation, to where we found that they were selling these third-party parts. However, they were still coming from us. So we didn't have any record of selling those parts to this third party. So if it's a motherboard for the ultrasound machine, and we only make that motherboard and no one else, we didn't show any proof of that motherboard from us being sold or sold to someone else, and we didn't do business with this third-party vendor. So as we dug into it more and more, found out that just like an automobile tech would or anything, hey, you need a new starter, right? When really you didn't need a new starter, you just needed a 20-cent fuse to fix it. So they would say that they removed the starter, put a new starter in when they didn't, and then now they're in purchase of the brand new starter, to where they would go now take that motherboard, go to another doctor's office and replace that motherboard. So they're buying it on the black market for this motherboard. And then we're trying to figure it out. So as we track this back, we find one of the technicians was in bed with this third party. He would spray a little WD-40 on it, collect all these parts that were worth sometimes, $10,000 or more. And he had a little basket out on his stoop to where he'd put this little motherboard in. They'd come by and where the little milk crate would be, and they would take the motherboard and they'd leave him an envelope of cash. And they were getting these parts for half price. They couldn't get access to them otherwise. So as we got to this whole big thing and interviewed the bad guy, my client's employee in a hotel room, he took me out in the hall and said, Brian, man, I don't think this guy did it. He doesn't have anything to do with it. And I'm saying, look, I already told him to get the F out a few times. He's not getting out. I already have him. He involved, just needs to take a little more. And he's like, okay, I'm a little nervous about this. I go back, give him the business, this and that, get the admission of how he was doing this fairly big company supplying these parts, sometimes generating dummy invoices, not changing anything on that ultrasound machine in that doctor's office, what have you. And get the admission, and the client takes me to the hall and say, Brian, I was ready to admit to it and I didn't do it, so he's like, thank God you didn't listen to me and you were tenacious. And so, my broader point is you start out with something very generic, very small. As the attorney group starts to understand that, wow, okay, they know what they're talking about. This is added value types of stuff. This thing that was probably $1,000 bill that they needed something simple, and to turn up a six-figure investigation. And on that, I was able, with these two third-party vendors, to get $5 million in restitution from these vendors. We were able to cap that. And so for a six-figure spend, we were able to absolutely murder the bad guys financially, put them out of business, get rid of a handful of those technicians that had gone to the dark side. And so that's the difference between an investigator that just relies on just what you can find in a public records database versus somebody that's truly versed, a deep bench, and has lots of investigative experience.
Odd. So that obviously snowballs from something that, from their perception, is tiny into this massive investigation and case. What was the first, in an example like that, what is the first ask? Like when the phone rings at PHENIX, hey, this is Brian. What are they asking you out of the gates?
Yeah, simply, hey, we think it's ABC business that is up to no good or isn't using OEM parts, and just find this business so we can send them a nastogram cease and desist type of letter, through the attorneys, and that's it, and that's the short mission, and we just really need to know a little bit about this company, nothing more.
And then before they even call, they've probably gone to a couple of the public records, or at least like solicited a vendor that has, and they've hit dead ends, and then they call you to take what they think is the last step, or have they not even done anything typically before they call you?
Yeah, they typically know, oh, this is a sour spot. This could be an issue. A Fortune 100 company is just a juggernaut type of business. And if I said this name, this is a household brand. And so for them is kind of like a little just nuisance, but hey, we got to address it, to where, holy crap, now with all of this information, this could have to do with recalls. This could have water down our brand name. Oh, we have to protect our IP and our intellectual property. And now we have to go scorched earth in what it is that we know, right?
So, Brian, you talk a lot about kind of the ROI of doing these investigations a lot. Obviously, you're a business person and look at these from the perspective of the attorney or the business person. Is it a lot of drawing on experience when someone brings something like this to you? You're looking at it like, okay, this is a Fortune 100 company. Through discovery, you're able to uncover kind of how big and how expensive kind of the fraud can be. and understand that when something gets this big, often there's multiple participants in this. And that gives you your first inclination that, hey, we might have more than you realize beneath the surface here.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the value proposition and trying to educate not only your clients but your own people, that as a true experienced investigator, there is tremendous value in a partnership. I'll give you an example. We just hired, super excited to bring him aboard, 20-year ex-law enforcement, kind of did his own thing for, 5 years in the investigative realm and came to us. And after 1 week, his eyes are wide open and just say, I cannot believe and see what you guys do. And basically distilled it down to, yeah, you haven't been charging your true value your entire life. And he looked at me and he said, yep, Brian, that's exactly the conclusion that I came. So didn't have anything to compare it to. Now I see the tremendous value in what you do and how it is, and I just completely missed the boat.
You have a really interesting perspective in this business that I think a lot of the industry misses out on. And, from like the marketing side, from the exterior, a lot of your prospective customers, to your own kind of acknowledgement, look at you as more like an extra set of hands to do work that they're tasking out. But really, I think of you more as like a consultant that has a strategic edge in these things. Why do you think it is that attorneys might look at you more as like a service and not a strategic partner when that is kind of how these relationships always seem to evolve?
Yeah, good question. I think it just comes down to lack of knowledge or their previous experience with investigative companies in the past that would just vomit this public information that they can gain access to, and not having the experience. And so, um, consulting is what I really pride myself on, and educating the client of, hey, I've seen this movie hundreds of times before, and although you just wanted this, I can go ahead and tell you what the ending's going to be already. And sometimes that's disaster. So for example, had a client that manufactured DVDs, PlayStation games. Ultimately, somebody as an assistant manager brings in the movie, it shows it in the Blockbuster, and I'm really dating myself now, right, for Blockbuster, but showing the movie in the store, and she's proud as a peacock, and the manager comes in and says, where'd you get that movie? And she said, yeah, I got it $10 in the newspaper and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we're Blockbuster. We get these things before they're even released. So they share that back to the production company. The production company knows, hey, Mr. Manufacturer, you're the only one in the world that's manufacturing this DVD and is now out there in the open market before it's being released. By the way, that next $100 million order we were about to give you, we're going to hang on to that until you can show that you've secured our intellectual property. So, talk about a, torpedo in the hull. So this is where oftentimes clients think, oh, well, we just have to figure out who's stealing them out the back door and, slap them down or fire that. But it's not the value of the 10-cent disc that it costs to manufacture. It is the IP, the trademark value, your customer, the ripple effects, and all of those things. And so it takes a oh shit moment of, we could potentially lose $1 billion customer because we can't secure our own product that we manufacture, right? And so that was an example of going into this factory, and 35 admissions later, in a month's time, to where the CEO comes to me and puts his arm around me and says, Brian, you're doing a really good job, but you're doing too good of a job because I'm losing all my head technicians and things, and I'm not going to have a company to run before long, And so it was pretty hysterical because between these two factories, there was this big long bridgeway between the two highways, and so as the word got out that investigators were there, and with all these different movie titles, right, being so a manager would dial up, have an employee have to walk, and they were calling that you had to walk the green mile, because as you walked across the highway on the green mile, those employees never came back. So so we were the headless horsemen and things, and at the end of the day, we were able to secure that situation for the client and carve out the cancer, so to speak. But again, something that started out very, very innocuous. So
How many employees ended up involved in that?
I want to say 42. And
Wow, that is a big conspiracy.
yeah, and keep in mind, what happens lots of times is, hey, they're just DVDs. You're bringing them home for your family. It's cool. I'm bringing the latest PlayStation. Some of these we manufacture. Maybe the ink is off on the manufacturing process. So, the content's good on the disc, but we're throwing 10,000 away and melting them down and doing it again because we screwed up on the artwork. And what happens is, hey, Scott, hey, do me a favor and stick 10 down your pants or in the lunchbox, and I'll go ahead and pay you $10 each for them, right? And then as you do that, the true bad guy is saying, yeah, Scott, now I need you to go get 100 and I'm going to give you $8 a piece. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm saying, no, you are, because if I go down, you're going down. And here's what it is. And I've compromised you now, right? To where it got just with a few bad guys to where they would steal this finished product, bring it to Walmart all around the state, return 10, 20 games at each location, they don't have the receipt, so they get the store credit, and then they'd buy, $500 gift cards, whatever it was. And there was this whole cottage industry. But even more importantly, the Chinese were getting a super popular video game before it was released. And before it was ever released, there was millions of copies manufactured and out there on the market before their release date even happened. So, it just has, massive.
God, the snowballing of greed and corruption. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Can you walk me? I'm really just curious. So what does the discovery call look like for a case like this? Obviously, this thing starts this big, this conversation, and months later, it turns into this wide sweeping multi-location. What does the discovery call look like, your first interaction with this customer?
Yeah, typically it's, again, we want something very specific. This is, a $5,000 bill or less. I kind of smile ear to ear and say, yep, thank you for this. No problem. We can take care of that. That train leaves the station. And for 35 years of experience, knowing the scope of an investigation always gets bigger, not smaller, I already know through experience, $5,000 is enough to get us down the tracks to say, hey, as I started to peel back this rotten onion and see all of the stuff's in there, hey, you're at your budget. Best of luck to you. Glad we could help you. And it's no, don't leave us now. Right. Wow. We're just getting started in this thing. Oh my God, this is egregious. Let's keep going. You do this to the point to where it just gets worse and worse, and the client really needs you. And as you start to get all of that really good information, then we literally and surgically carve out that cancer, give them the proper medication, put that tourniquet on, what have you, to where you stop the bleeding. And then it's not only about what we try to preach to our corporate clients is, okay, we caught the bad guys, we remove the cancer, but you know what? The weeds are going to grow back in the garden unless you're proactive, that you're doing risk assessments, you're on top of it. Parade me through the facility 6 months later after the shock and awe, all of these people are no longer there. They'll remember me. That deterrent alone, will keep the awareness high, right? And so, as I try to preach to clients, at the end of the day, we all do it, right? It's, oh, hey, we're in a hurry to get home from work. We're driving. Going a little too fast. Oh, I better slow down because that cop is always in that bank parking lot, right? And so you slow down through that area so you don't get a ticket. It's the same thing. What happens is these big companies, especially, don't have those deterrents in place and those roadblocks and don't have that awareness. So when you get to the bottom of lots of these things, these people will cry in front of you and say, oh, it was the company's fault, because if they just kept me honest, right, I wouldn't have done those things. And so, yeah, I just took a few, and this is where it normally will start is, I'm just going to take a few DVDs, no harm to anybody. They throw them away. And then, 10 becomes 100 to 500 to selling them at Walmart to the whole business model and the greed, and they just ultimately can't stop. Shame on the company for not having those deterrents in place. And so it really does feed on itself.
Isn't it funny how all it takes oftentimes is just a reminder that mom and dad are watching to keep people's hands out of the cookie jar?
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is audit the auditor, inspect the inspector. Right. And so sometimes companies are too busy making money with their head down and this and that, and they're not really trying to, they're just trying to manufacture and get it out the door. And it just becomes to where there's no deterrence there. I've seen it all from, take it out to, stage it near the dumpster, throw it in the dumpster. We'll come fish it out after hours. Had a manufacturer who manufactured remanufactured engines, and stop me if you know this one, but in Texas, they were stealing remanufactured engines, not something that you pick up and stick in your pocket and walk out with. These were tens of thousands of dollars of engines, and mostly Hispanic workforce. And as I'm doing the interviews, finding out the word phantasmo keeps coming up, which means ghost in Spanish. And so it's the ghost motor. And to come to find out, as they would just not, 1 out of every 10, not put a ticket around. They would know when it would come around the assembly line. They lift it off with a pallet, stage it somewhere. Once management would leave after 5, they'd load it up on the back of a pickup truck. And that was a daily occurrence. And they were stealing these remanufactured engines. So what I've learned is whether it's a roll of toilet paper or a remanufactured engine, they'll steal what you manufacture. They'll steal the tools that you use to manufacture raw material, what have you. They'll do it all.
Is it all, in your experience, is it almost always it takes some sort of fraud or kind of corporate tragedy at these bigger businesses before they start implementing these risk management strategies? Does it take getting burned before you start ever?
Yeah, it's the, 1-0 shit erases 100 that boys, right? And so, and it's that oh shit moment that they call, hey, we got to do something, then we get to the bottom of it. We help them oftentimes get restitution to where they even come out better than when they started, believe it or not. And then you'll go to them and say, hey, for $1.99, I can do this as a go forward basis to help you, from a loss prevention and a risk management perspective. And they say no. So I I politely smile and know you're going to be calling me 2 years from now and the weeds grow back and dealing with another oh shit moment.
Yeah, it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
Yeah. Mhm.
I know using the word typical is usually not good practice in your line of business, but is it typical that these cases start with, like you said, here's these tasks, I needed to do it, it's a few $1,000, go out, do some recon, and through that, you're giving them updates, you write your reports, and then they drive you to do the next thing. And then it's a few more days or a few thousand more, and then another report and another update. And then it snowballs into this big thing where sometimes people make a good choice and say, hey, go on an ongoing basis. Most of the time they say, see you later. But is it just a little bit more, a little bit more, and then big?
Sometimes it's very little and then really big. But here's the unique difference. As I preach to my army of investigators, um, at the end of the day, it comes down to your discovery questions, right? Just, sales 101. But, as an investigator, you wear that hat to where what's the mission? What are we trying to get? What's the bigger picture? What's your ailment? And again, where that professional person, attorney, business called you to be like, yeah, I know, but I only need you to get this information. No, I get it. But it's really helpful if you go ahead and you tell me these other things so I can be better at obtaining this one thing. And as they start to lay that out and tell you this, it's like, oh, okay, but since I've seen this movie before, did you know we can do this, and this would be much better? And then they're saying, oh God, I didn't have an idea we could go ahead and do this, right? And um, so oftentimes, just from a discovery and sincerely as an investigator, why do we need to locate this person? What's the circumstances? Oh, they are a witness to an accident for a product liability case, and we are currently being sued for $100 million. And we believe if we got this person and they said the right thing, this could be an absolute home run. We started the phone call of, hey, we just need to locate this guy. How much do you charge? Oh, we charge $1,000, right? That's a novice guy who would just be throwing out that price, but it's, I can't really give you a price until I understand what the circumstances are, right? And then hey, did you know once we located Fred, we should probably go out there and see what he has to say. We won't record it because that would be discoverable. But as we start to talk to Fred, and I can do the Jedi mind trick with Fred quite a bit, right? Then I can go ahead and steer the situation in the right direction. And then as Fred says really good things, I can go and get an affidavit, lock Fred down. So when this thing is truly in a court and litigation, we're going to play that beautiful bean footage, back to Fred of all that great stuff that he told us. So yeah, it's different layers and different degrees, and sometimes it can go from 0 or 1 to 100 pretty quick.
That, for whatever reason, gave an aha for me where, say, someone calls me, I'm a novice investigator. I hear that. My directive is I have to find Fred and find where he got this DVD. But yourself, or a more experienced investigator, hears I need to figure out how to protect this IP and help this big company secure their best customers through risk prevention.
Yeah, exactly. A month ago, we had, hey, we think we're missing $1 million of laundry detergent and fabric softener, right? The big manufacturer, but they work for one of the big three manufacturing this, fabric softener for them. And so they're saying, hey, we want to find our $1 million and who's behind it. And as through discovery and asking, well, are you concerned that your client, who you manufacture all this product for, would later determine that they sold this at a flea market to a third party and there's not food custody in the chain to where now it's tainted and they would have a recall or have that run that risk. So therefore, they're going to pull the plug on your entire contract. And then, they hadn't thought about that. And so as you start to coach them to say, yeah, we'll get to the bottom of the $1 million, but that should be the least of your concerns. We need to not only find out who's behind it and get rid of them, but as a go forward, we need to secure your product to make sure it's not going out the back door. And we need to hang these individuals from the company flagpole as a deterrent to show them ultimately at the end of the day, we don't screw around. Our building doesn't have a bullseye on the side of it. We are not a soft target, and it's in your company handbook. And if we find this out, we will make an example to you.
Yeah, that's a whole episode right there, is talking about these types of investigations as deterrents in these enterprise brands. I never really gave much consideration to that, but that's how all of these policies and handbook things pop up, is usually a response to when the bad thing happens.
Yeah. And you'll hear me say it over and over again. The information typically doesn't come from a computer, doesn't come from the internet, Facebook. It comes from other people, right? And so oftentimes this isn't organized crime. It's just people not having the deterrence, speeding, and I'm going to speed all the time because the cop isn't sitting at the corner, bank parking lot. And so they just get more and more. And how do you get to it is that circle might be very small and you have to fly close to the sun, and you got to interview a lot of people, but that information is not going to be out in the ethos somewhere. It's going to be with one or two people. And the only way to get that information is have tremendous leverage through your investigation to get those admissions to, finally get to the core of the Tootsie Roll.
From 3 legs.
Yeah.
So I want to close out with a direct question to you. This is kind of like your sales pitch moment. So obviously in the United States, there's endless thousands of attorneys working for big business clients every second of the day. What would you say to the attorney that's on the fence about getting a third party like yourself involved in these huge business fraud cases?
Yeah, good question. One, if I'm the attorney, certainly you want to ask your discovery questions. Hey, walk me through what's your experience. What would you do? I can kind of already get the basic information. Tell me how you would tackle it. So, from the attorney perspective, ask those questions. But, from my seat, I would explain to the attorney, you are really missing out. If you're not using a good investigator, that's really your secret weapon. And although you can litigate and push paper and find case law, at the end of the day, if you can find those people and those affidavits and hear it directly from their mouth, it can blow up your case, and that information is power. And when that other side is going ahead and defending it, just as it relates to what they can do litigation wise, and you have the secret weapon on your other end, getting this information, it's not even a fair fight.
Yeah, boy, that's a really good topic, and we'll close with that. Is as technology improves and AI takes over, the rise of the machines, whether it's marketing, which is my world, or yours, like experienced expert humans are gonna be the edge.
Yeah, and being able to walk the attorney through it, conservatively consult with the attorney. I had an attorney a few months back speak to one of the investigators, just wanted a price. Hey, I need you to do this and this. How much is it? How much is it? Was a little frustrated because he couldn't get the price. Let me talk to your CEO, gets me on the phone, and ultimately is pretty frustrated. Hey, Brian, why can't you give me a price? And then I just simply said, hey, Tom, I've been charged with murder. I need you to defend me. How much would it cost? a dead silence. And he's like, okay, touche, good point, right? And so, okay, Tom, give me 5 minutes of your time. Tell me what it is. And ultimately, as he did that and, can hit the bullseye. So it's not one size fits all. And I think many investigators out there is, hey, we charge a fee for this, we charge a fee for this, and it's black and white, and that's all that it is. But it's just not that way. A background check could take 2 hours to do, or I've had background checks that have had days to do and spend $50,000 on a background check on a CEO that was going to be anointed for a multi-billion-dollar company, and then ultimately find out for his Twitter threads or his active girlfriend is batshit crazy, and those types of things, to where they pulled the plug and said, oh my God, thank God we did that background. So you can't just throw out, oh, we charge $1,000 for that background. It's just really, it's all relative depending upon the need and the situation.
Well, I think we'll close on this, and that's why you always say is every situation is different. Just it starts with, if you're even thinking about it, make a 5 to 10 minute call and talk about it. Maybe it's a life-changing conversation. Maybe it's not the right fit, but just reach out. Brian and the team are about the most straightforward people I've ever interacted with. So just make a call and ask the question.
Absolutely. Every case, as I say, is a snowflake. And so you got to treat it as such. And, a good investigator does a lot more listening than they do.
Well, it's been fun to listen today. Brian, behave yourself. Have a good day, and we'll talk next time.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
See ya.